Welcome everyone, and to play and watch a game of Unnamed Adventurers Guild. This is a notice called Dangerous Games, Dangerous Rewards, where players will get the opportunity to create, hunt down special, unique monsters, and you drag back their carcasses to hopefully make something useful out of it. So this is mostly improvised and unplanned, but they will be rewarded for their efforts. So without further ado, let's introduce our most veteran characters and roll down the list.
Hi, I am Ty Johnston. I am playing Fletch, who is a human fighter. He carries a rapier, a whip, and a longbow, and wears half-plate armor.
Hello everyone, my name is Lionel. I'm going to play Aracrus Relicus. He is a high elf, cleric wizard. He wears a studded leather, has a longbow, a longsword, and a mace. But he's mostly fond of using spells.
Hello, I'm Eric Medlock. I'm playing Caradoc, Fairbog Druid Barbarian. He mostly likes to beat things up while in the form of a bear, but he has a couple other utility forms, and he'll cast a spell on occasion, especially if it lets him befriend animals.
And with that, the dwarf that his name escapes me. Fletch. The dwarf that Fletch sailed up with.
Bulgar Bronzebeard.
Bulgar Bronzebeard. He starts walking down the steps again, and he's getting ready to head out. He's of course scans everyone. You can see here, Fletch, you're probably the only one who could pick this out. As he's scanning everyone, you can definitely tell he's gauging everyone in the room as he's leaving.
Fletch will slide over to him at the exit door and it's like, so how soon are you looking to get things going? And he'll point towards the sign.
He says, I didn't put that notice up for fun, lad. If you're ready for a fight, or you're just looking for something nice, you come to the right place.
I don't necessarily have anything special in mind as far as weaponry goes, but, you know, I might think of something, or if you have something in mind. But, yeah, I'm usually willing to head out for a fight.
He says, well, I don't just do weaponry and armor. I can do simpler things. Rope, lanterns, anything like that. Tools.
Ooh, tools, you say?
He says, he shows you his hammer. He says, this thing's a special little creation I did. Barely need a forge to get any metal bent back into shape. He says, made it out of the ashes of a mephite.
How are you with more intricate, delicate tools, like smaller tools?
You be thinking like thieves' tools?
Something like that, yeah.
He says, I'm much more traditional in my works of art. He says, if I come across a lock, I'll just break it open.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't want to draw attention to yourself, or you don't want someone to know the lock's been opened.
He says, well, if you'd be needing a key of some sort, I could work something out. I do also make jewelry. It's not something that's well known, but I can do it. Mostly they don't have generally any proper function, but if you are definitely looking for some nice trinket.
No, I've got a few nice trinkets. I'd probably be more interested in weaponry, to be honest. But
he says, I have been thinking that there might be some special materials that could be used for such things, but I haven't come across them yet.
Or maybe special kind of arrows that do certain things.
He says, well, poison is definitely a good thing to work with that. But if poison's not your thing, of course, some people are more honor bound than others. He says, the blood of magmars are really good for that sort of thing.
I'm not really honor bound by anything, but poison just seems so mundane. I want like big explosions, stuff that looks cool.
He says, maybe I should just put an explosive on the tip of your arrows then.
That might be something to consider.
He says, alchemist fires are the easiest thing to use, but doesn't have the same impact as a stick of dynamite.
Stick of dynamite? I'm not familiar with that. Alchemist fire I've heard of, though.
Says it's something that we've recently come across in the mines. We use it mostly for clearing because it's too dangerous for weaponry. But if something does happen to get in the way,
you just sold me. You said too dangerous for weaponry. I'm in.
Says, unfortunately, it's kind of hard to come across at this time.
No.
Says, if you can convince the miners to sell you some of that powder they put into it, that'll work.
Miners, powder. Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind for the future. If I get my hands on it, you're the man to come see, I think. Of course, I might want to experiment first, just to see what this stuff does.
He says, well, don't put it in your mouth. It tastes awful.
Oh, okay. Ooh. But you could put it in somebody else's mouth.
Okay, so I'm guessing Arrakis has picked up the conversation, so is Cat usually going to the paper the dwarf put on the board, reading it, and listening from not too far away.
Everyone should know that he's there. He slammed the wall with his hammer, so it's definitely really low.
Yeah, and he and Fletch aren't like whispering or anything.
So. So they're going on about potential explosive devices that they could be using. The notice simply states, I don't think you were there for that, but it says, if you're looking for a unique piece of armor or looking for a good hunt to lead into something better than that, come to my shop and we can see if we can challenge you. Or if you're just looking for an interesting piece of gear, we can custom make something special. I guess at the bottom of it says kind of like a PS, bring your gold.
I'm guessing platinum will do too.
It says platinum we work just fine. Or that new stuff that everyone's using now, Electrum. It's supposed to be twice as expensive as gold. And he kind of just spits on the floor. And he says, never heard of that bloody thing in my life.
Electrum? Yeah, I've not run across that one yet.
Says it's bogus.
I'm not sure I like the idea of somebody trying to pay for their drinks with that stuff.
Says, whatever. As far as I know, it's twice as expensive as gold, so I'll take it where I could get it. It's my nephew's business, so I won't take any risks on his part.
Yeah, okay. Well, I, for one, am up for a hunt. I'm not sure what I'll get out of it, but hey, I'm in town. I might as well kill some stuff.
He nods to you and he says, good. You're going to need that spirit for some of the things that are on this list. But of course, I won't send you out there if you ain't going to get nothing out of it. So if you had caught something in your mind that you want, just give me a holler. You know where I'll be.
Maybe some of those alchemist fire arrows.
He says, do you want the good stuff or do you just want the cheap stuff?
I want the good stuff.
He says, I'll have to go back to my shop to look up the recipe, but I believe it's fire lizard oil. Not salamanders, but that's the real good stuff. But salamanders aren't easy to come by.
Fire lizard oil. So I take it you need me to go get some fire lizard oil?
He says, well, no fire lizard is going to come willingly. You'll have to slay him and collect the oil.
You tell me where they're at and how to collect the oil, and I'll go do it. Unless you've got something else in mind you need done.
Nah, I'll go check the scrolls. The watch has been sending me hordes of lists of monsters that they need dispatching. The rangers are pretty good at finding this stuff, but they don't know how to deal with it.
Okay, well, I will save you a trip, and I'll just meet you over at your shop in a little while.
He says, thanks, lad. It's been a while since I've had to walk this long. And he stretches his back, and like you hear his back pop, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, maybe we'll get you a horse or a pony or something.
He says, or a nice dwarven woman. I wouldn't mind being carried around by one of them. And he walks up the door.
Well, if you hang around the guild, I'm sure there's one around here somewhere.
He says, I hope. Can you recommend me a good drinking establishment?
Are you wanting a quiet place where you won't be bothered, or are you looking for a fight?
He says, my days of fighting are behind me, unfortunately.
Well, there's the dragon up on the north end, and then there's the mothers down on the south end, but both of them have had their share of trouble at one time or another. But generally speaking, if you just go in and mind your own business, people will leave you alone.
Mothers and dragon.
Yeah, and if you ask some of the city guards, I'm sure they probably got their own favorite hangouts.
I'll keep it in mind. This mother's place might be interesting to look at.
Just a word of warning. I've not had any serious trouble from mothers, but it is, or at least was, sort of a den of, let's just say one of the local guilds around here who keeps a watch on things.
I'd be getting your drift. It shouldn't be a problem.
Shouldn't be, no.
But I still got some kick left in me.
Okay. They don't usually cause trouble, but...
He nods to you. He says, good day. I'll be seeing you soon.
All right. See you soon, Bogart.
And he walks out the door. Surprised Caradoc didn't say anything. Or...
Yeah, I mean, basically, the minute he walks out the door, the strange-looking, elderly, apparently drunk, dwarven woman walks into the back. A few minutes later, she does not reappear, but coming out the same door that she went in is a giant, like 7.5 foot tall, furbolg, who is not apparently drunk. And he just walks in, doesn't say a word, sits down.
All right. So
and begins playing on his pan flute.
All right. So
what kind of song is he playing?
He's just doing scales.
Okay.
So everyone, what's your next move?
Fletch will look around and say, who wants to go fire lizard hunting?
What is he need for me? By the way, I heard all your conversation with the guy. Is he looking for adventurers to catch and bring back stuff, maybe I can get some income for my research and stuff.
Well, you'll have to talk over details with him. I'm not sure he's paying anything, but more like he was offering a good deal on specialty weapons. But if we went out and killed some fire lizards...
You know what? I just got a few new spells. I will be interested in try them out if you need an extra helping hand.
Sure. Plus, you might be able to bring back a fire lizard for your own studies.
Right.
And hearing this, I do walk over and say, those fire lizards sound intriguing. I would like to study one up close.
Well, if we get to fight them, I'm sure you'll get to see them up close. I don't know 100% sure. I'll have to talk to the dwarf again, but it sounded as if he needed the lizards dead. But, you know, I guess if you guys wanted a live one, we could
Will Aracris know anything about the lizards and the oil?
For the lizards themselves, roll a nature check.
A natural 20, 29.
All right, so fire lizards themselves come from the elemental plane of fire. They don't usually linger very long in the material plane since they cool off generally fairly fast. But the one thing that summoners like to do is, in order to keep them tame and from burning things down, they like to put a summoning pillar or several summoning pillars to restrain them to a certain area and keep them cool in a some sort of water source. Usually a running stream or a river, so that the portals keep them there, but they don't start just wandering around burning places down.
So basically, if we do not want to go to the fire elemental plane, we will be needing to search in volcano-like areas.
You would know that with that kind of a roll, you would know that the pillars are only one way, so it's not a proper portal. It just drags them from their world and then plops them there.
Okay. Do the Staracris know where the pillars and the portal are located?
No.
Okay. What about the oil?
It would be the same check. The oil themselves is similar to that of regular alchemist fire. Basically, to describe what I imagine what an alchemist fire would be like, it's like you throw it and it's like a Molotov. It hits the ground and the glass breaks and it reacts with the air and explodes in a fire. It's, of course, a natural flame, and it can spread if you're careless with it, but overall, it's just more of a distraction than anything, or crowd control. From what you can tell from fire lizard oil is that it's oil from the elemental plane of fire, so it doesn't need too many other material components to make it a viable weapon. And basically that oil is generally ignited with the air, and it sprays out from their mouths to create a breath weapon.
Okay, so is it created through their skin, or is like a breath weapon, like for example, made in the from the glands inside their vocal cavity, like serpents or other?
Both. They do both. So if it's a defense mechanism, and they use it to deter attackers as a breath weapon. The breath weapon is
we can keep them alive. Keep them alive and harvest it from their skin.
Yes. The only thing you know is that, well, I mean, you rolled a 29. You know that, oh, excuse me, that in order to keep them docile enough to harvest them live, you need to keep them in a cool place.
Okay.
If
So,
they're not in a cool place, so say you pull them from the water and then you start extracting them, there's a good chance that they'll become active and aggressive and start fighting you.
okay, so the emotional state is dependent to the temperature of the or the environment they are in.
Pretty much. If they're cold, they'll kind of enter like a hibernation state. If they're hot, they'll become aggressive and active and try to burn things down.
Okay. Adding to the stuff they know, so Arrakis will point out of the place that is a place in that where those lizards can be found.
Well,
But
you don't,
he does not know where, and he says he understood about what he knows of the nature of the creatures.
so should I just summarize it for Fletch, or if you missed out?
Yeah, you can give me a brief summary.
So basically, fire lizards, when they get cold, they'll become docile and
Yeah,
sleep.
I got that part. Yeah.
If they have a breath weapon and they have an oil on their skin, so attacking them at melee range is also. The breath weapon is fairly short, so as long as you're further away than 20 feet, you don't have to worry about getting hit by them.
Okay. Well, that's why I have a longbow.
I'm sorry. When you were saying something about hitting them in melee, you cut out, and I didn't.
Oh, if you attack them in melee range, their oil, when you hit them, their oil will spray onto whoever. Well, they'll spray around and will damage everyone around them. So they're dangerous to hit.
Well, if I'm, they're fire elementals, so I mean, I don't want to meta game, but would I know that they're resistant to fire? I mean, that would seem to be a fairly obvious thing.
Yeah, I would think that's pretty obvious.
All right, then before we go, I need to swap out some spells.
I mean, if you're still uncomfortable with that, you can make a nature, but it's only like 10.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll make a nature just to play along. Yeah, I easily hit it. Okay, so I'm going to swap out some spells, just however you want to, fit that in the narrative.
I would just say that. Oh well, I guess you already have them. It takes. Do you need a long rest to do that?
I mean,
I'll just say you change them on the way there, because I think traveling counts as resting as long as you're not fighting.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
All right, so
Arrakis will make an investigation to see where are such pillars in through and Ironwood. And if not, he will go save and visit the wizard with the portal.
Why are you going there?
Arrakis is going to look for a place where such the portal you spoke about is around Airwood. where they are summoned and kept cold for harvesting. Or if he does not find anything, he will just go with the wizard is studying a mirror like portal to see if he knows something or if he can make the mirror transport to the fire elemental plane.
He says, no, I wouldn't know where any portals like that existed in this area. And, no, I'm not opening up the portal to the elemental plane of fire. I do not want to burn down my mansion, thank you.
The other option will be if you have some sort of summoning spell, so we can summon them on a safe place.
He says that doesn't entirely work either. He says we would need, if you were looking to harvest fire lizard oil from a fire lizard, we would need much more preparation than just summoning one on the spot. Especially safely. We would need a cold place to do it, and we would need to have proper protections. We could use a simple summoning spell, but any proper conjurer would know that summoning, if you attempt to do anything like that to a summon, it pretty much fails because it's all ethereal. I think it's just 1 gold for 20 arrows.
Gold or silver?
Isn't it 1 gold for 20 arrows?
Something like that. It's not very expensive.
I'm just saying gold is expensive.
Not 1 gold.
Silver. But okay. Well, that's fine. It does seem high, but whatever.
I have the table around here. Let me check.
He says, and then after he thinks about it, he's like, wait a minute. What are you doing in my house? How did you get in here?
Gold piece. You summoned me, and last time I came here, we saved your apprentice. You summoned me and another of my guild's members to look through the mirror for a place you were looking for.
Well, yes, you did that, and that was very useful of you. But what are you doing in my house now?
Yeah, well, I'm on a hunt of wizards or lizards. I thought you had information of where we could get some through this in this world.
Well, he basically tells you what you know already. He just says, look, all I know is that if you want to harvest them properly, you need a place to keep them cool, and you need a proper way to maintain them in a specific location, which requires summoning pillars. Which
where can I? But you don't know where a pillar is.
No. Why would I know where a pillar is?
Okay, thank you very much. And he goes back to his team and says, "Well, this source did not pay off. Maybe Pincus knows about it."
Knows about what?
The pillars we need to find.
Why do we need to find pillars?
To summon the creature, because they are not native from this world.
Why don't we just go see the guy who's offering to send us after him?
Okay.
And he could tell us where they are.
Sure. Lead the way.
Okay, I'll go to the Smiths.
All right, you arrive. You open the door. It's a pretty dark place. Of course, the place was supposed to be like run down for a little while, but of course he got there a lot sooner than they anticipated. So it's a lot of the windows are boarded up. You could see he's done all the setting up, and you can see him just prying up all the boards off the windows so you can get some light. And he says, you finally showed up.
While we're talking, I'll grab a hammer and help him.
He says, very good. It's nice to have a customer that has some initiative.
One businessman to another.
He says, now what can I do you for? You figured out what you wanted?
I think I want those flaming arrows.
Aye, they're always a good help. So, let me see if I can find something about those fire lizards then.
For that matter, Ericra's here, and what's the big fella's name again?
Caradoc.
Caradoc. They might be interested in something.
Indeed.
He says, let me show you to where I've been holding all my armors for now. Once I get the windows open, I'll put them up for display. And he takes you to, he takes you to, like, the shop is fairly decent in size. The main room that you came into is just like seems like just like a general store front. You know, there's the bar in the front, and then there's the where he stands behind. He's got a bunch of stuff on it already, but of course it's just mostly just clutter, like tools and scrolls. And then he leads them to this back room where it's like reinforced wood. Of course, this wood is a little bit fire resistant because they got the furnace in there, because they can't have a furnace outside on the street. And of course, it has a big chimney that goes out.
Damn government regulations.
So he leads you to this other room, and you can see just tons of like chest like mannequins. And they're not like the normal like kind of like target dummy mannequins that you might see at other blacksmiths. They're actually full body mannequins with leg armor, with legs and arms and hands. And they got the full body, the full armors on them.
Okay.
And you can see like leather armors that have like extra pockets on them. You can see some heavier armors that have a lot more like of course these ones take a lot more time, but you can see these ones got this full plate in particular has a lot more slits in it. And you could imagine, like, you look at your own half plate and you notice a lot more solid pieces that you kind of have difficulty like finicking with. And of course you see some other designs like really thick cloth robes that have like some steel like strips going through them for some added protection. And of course you see some weapons, like you see a greatsword that looks like it's actually fitted to be held by a halfling or a gnome. You see another greatsword that's original size, but it looks like it's been really thinned down. So you give it a little lift, and it weighs significantly lighter than you'd expect from a normal sword.
Okay.
And you start looking at everything, and he's looking through some scrolls as you're looking at his stuff.
Can Aracris inconspicuously cast Detect Magic?
I mean, you can roll a stealth if you want.
$10.
Yeah. You're casting your spell. I'm pretty sure everyone in the room could see you. So you cast the spell and...
Ritual cast, of course.
Yeah. So nothing in this room is magical. Everything's pretty, like, other than the excellent designs, everything is standard.
Do you have any medium armors that are not made of metal? Not just standard hide armor, but something like a scale mail or a breastplate that's a natural material, not metal.
Says, well, that's definitely something that's worth looking into. Says there's a lot of animals that could raise that sort of situation. Once the most obvious choice is the dire wolf. But if you want something really sturdy, at maybe the cost of being a little heavier, you could definitely try for a dire bear. Dangerous foe indeed, though. You better bring a lot of friends.
Mm.
He says, however, though, it is a little more, definitely a lot easier to wear than scale mail and provides nearly the same amount of protection. Of course, it's not metal, but it's definitely got that added protection from the strange spikes that they seem to have.
As you can see, I am only using a student leader. I always find it troublesome to wear those metal armors because they are too noisy and too heavy to facilitate the the adventure sneak around, the stealth.
Yes, I am well aware. It's an issue that some people will just have to deal with, unfortunately.
But if you have, I've been having a lot of trouble recently. So maybe if you have an armor that gives more protection, but still allows me to get my free complete dexterity capabilities, that would be nice.
He says, I don't really know how fast you move. Why don't you give us a taste?
What do you want me to roll to show him that Heracles needs to?
He says, I'm a simple man. If I see a good archer, I know you can be trusted.
Archer?
And he says, shoot that dummy over there. I don't care if you hit it. Armor's armor is meant to get hit.
Someone is changing the longbow. Dex. Okay. 16, 10 points of damage.
Yep, so the arrow goes into the mannequin's head and its head rattles. And he says, pretty good. You could use some more work, but you're definitely good with those fingers. He's definitely gauging you with his stare, and he says, what's your dexterity?
16.
He says, have you ever considered a medium armor? Light armor is a little too light for you, I believe.
Yeah, as I've told you, it has the issue of not letting me move completely, and it's quite noisy. I had one once, scale mail, but it was an issue, so I had to change it for this one.
Well,
and our elves are all stealth and in silence.
Don't get me started on elves. Look, lad, I'm going to make the same suggestion I did for your friend over there. If you're looking for protection without the cost of being loud, you might want to try just going for the straight hide armor. If you want more protection, the bigger the beast, the better the armor.
Yeah, in this moment, I am here mostly for if you need an adventurer to hunt things down. I am quite short on money for the project I want to develop and my research.
Well, then let me interest you into the same challenge that your friend Fletch is about to partake in. And he finally reaches over for the scroll and pulls it out. And he says, I've been sifting through this stuff for a while now, and I think this is what you want. And he shows you a picture of just looks like a fire lizard, and it's got a picture of one pillar. It looks like a sharp, jagged rock. Kind of looks like something that you might use to summon infernals with if you knew what it was. But there's definitely some runes on it that are definitely leaning towards Ignan rather than infernal. And he said, and of course it has a small section of the Illumina map on it with a it's got the river that goes up, and then it's the river that goes up towards the mountain, and then there's a small like stream that goes off to the side, and then it comes back into another thicker river, and then it leads to a small pond that it's somewhere on the other side of that stream, not near the main roads, but definitely a good 30 minutes
away.
From here to there, it would probably take you about 5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Unless you want to make like a straight cut to it, then it might take you like 2 hours, but you have to dredge through the forest or the swampland. Sorry.
No, Fletch would prefer to avoid the swamplands.
Hey, Fletch. If we're going after something that we can't even get close to, I might need a longbow or something. Any ideas?
I'll just ask the dwarf.
Wait. I have one. I got one from the last trip I went to. Do you need? It's on my stuff back in the guild.
He says, "You lack an ranged weapon, boy."
That's what it sounds like.
He says, Well, I am a man, as you can tell, who likes his weapons and armor. He goes over to this old chest. It seems rather personal, and he pulls it out. And he takes out a crossbow. It looks like a heavy crossbow, definitely reinforced with steel. It looks like it's taken quite a beating and is definitely incredibly personalized towards him. He starts looking through some arrows, and he says, just for me to show you that my work is quality. And he gives you these bolts. And he says, these little tips may look quite, well, not intimidating to say the least, but they definitely pack a punch. If you feel like you need to use these to kill them, definitely use them.
Okay, so they're going to need a crossbow as well?
Yeah, he gives you his crossbow. He says, take good care of her.
Okay, so in those bolts, how many?
He gives you a full quiver.
Okay, so full case of bolts, which is how many?
20, or it's 10. Sorry, the cases of bolts are smaller.
How much you want for that?
He says, nothing. It will be a sign of trust. I'm definitely, if I use that bolt, and I'm sure that you'll be surprised in how effective these weapons are. And that will be my way of saying, welcome to my store. Hopefully you find interest in the rest of my works.
Something else I might be interested in, though I guess it's possible you might consider this magic, would be adamantine armor.
He says, adamantine, that's something every good crafter is willing to get his hands on if he can get it. But you know how rare it is, and it's quite expensive to just buy.
Just something to keep in mind if you ever, run across them or whatever.
And I want to be able to wear my shield when I shoot arrows to the foes, but it's quite hard to do this if you know how to adapt it.
He says, "This would be a good time to tell you about my standard fees. I do craft regular equipment without using, obviously, in some people's eyes, supernatural materials. And, of course, the standard price for normal equipment is standard price. However, for each modification I add, I double the price. For something, so adding that kind of modification to a shield would be 20 gold."
That's not a bad price.
He says, "And that's at bare minimum. I will not go any lower than that."
Do you know of any other shield that could grant me more protection?
He says, "Unless you want to be wearing a tower shield."
How much strength does one need for that tower shield? Because that will be interesting to duck behind one of those big ones.
he what's your strength?
Aracris' strength is 10.
he 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 definitely laughs. He says, "That's a good one. You tower shields." Oh, you're being serious.
Do you know of Ankex shell? Do you work with that?
Says an on-keg shell. Nothing for me to use. Shells are pretty fragile. Probably.
Let me get this right. You want armor that allows you to stay fast, but then you want to carry a tower shield around.
Yeah, no. The idea with the tower shield is to put it secure in the floor so it does not fall, and I will just duck behind it and shoot spells at the enemies and still be able to duck. I have good
I'm gonna walk over to Caradoc and kind of pat him in the arm and say, "That's what he's here for."
I'm gonna smile a big toothy grin, and there's like teeth missing, and there's stuff stuck in
It's like,
teeth, and foul odor coming out.
yeah, this is your tower shield. Stand behind him, or let him be in front of you at least.
Sure, that's another subject, but yeah, I understand your point.
He looks to Caradoc and he says, "I haven't looked through all the scrolls yet, but I haven't seen any dire bear warnings. But I'm definitely sure that if there is a dire bear lurking around out there, you'll hear about it before I do."
Dire bears sound kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely a good fight.
Especially if I can find and charm a dire wolf before we go after the dire bear.
He says, "There have been some dire wolf warnings."
Oh, man.
I may just have to pull out my ritual here in a minute to locate animals.
What if you just charmed the dire bear?
Well, I could, but I got to kill it eventually. Why not make that easier? Once I hit it, it's not going to stand there remaining charmed. So why not have the dire wolf there to take some of the damage?
Okay.
Well, I don't know where there be a dire bear, but I hope you don't come across one. And I hope you don't bring that dire wolf there, or I'll find you both smeared on the street.
I don't know you guys, but I am ready to go.
Okay, so we're fire lizard hunting. We're heading to the north.
Does Aracris need his wagon and horses?
He
Would you
says,
estimate that?
"I do not if you plan on bringing the bodies back, there's definitely some things I could do with it, and I'd be willing to pay for the bodies. But just be careful. I'm not sure if that's such a wise idea. Unless your wagon's made of stone, you may find yourself that the bodies leak oil, and that they will light your wagon on fire.
Yeah, but we need something to bring back the oil, so we need like bottles of some sort.
He says a standard glass vial should be able to hold it.
Okay, so Arrakis is going shopping then.
And while we're going shopping, I actually do have an idea for your wagon. If we get a couple of shovels, when we get outside of town, we could just fill the back of your wagon with dirt.
I don't understand your idea.
If we fill the back of your wagon with dirt, then we could drop the bodies on top of the dirt, and
It would ignite the dirt and it wouldn't spread.
if it would ignite the dirt, it might not. I mean, but
It will.
oh, okay.
It just
The one and only time I set an apartment building on fire did involve dirt and a cigarette butt. So, yeah, that's stuff.
bring it back. Quick bathroom break. So
Okay.
fire stuff.
Okay. Well, it would be preferable to find some kind of cage that does not leak the oil. Maybe made of metal or something like that. So we can trap them and bring them in the wagon back to here. Caradoc,
Yes.
would you be interested in petting one of those animals?
In doing what?
Petting. Having for you to have a pet, fire lizard pet.
A fire lizard, unless they're a type beast, which they're not, then it's not worth thinking about.
Yeah, I know so little about druids.
That said, I would like to get a direwolf pet, and if it happens to die while trying to kill fire lizards, then hey, there's at least one type of hide armor, and maybe the dire bear can be an adventure for another day.
Okay, the glass bottle weighs 2 pounds and it costs 2 gold pieces.
A glass bottle weighs 2 pounds.
Yes, and let me see what what can it hold. 1.5 pints of liquid.
All right. So just tell me when you guys are setting off.
So how many wool arachnids estimate they can harvest for a single lizard?
You'll need 1 per lizard.
So Arachnis has 1, maybe 5, maybe buy 5 more. Will that be enough for your arrows, Fletch?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how many arrows he would make.
Maybe we'll get money for what he doesn't use for you.
So Arachnis will buy 5 more glasses of bottles of glass.
So,
and that will be
yeah.
10 gold pieces.
I'll pitch in 3. It's not all coming out of your pocket.
How much is it?
10 gold pieces.
Well, 7 now.
So, do you change out your spells, Caradoc, yet?
Yeah. It's always so tough to pick, but yeah, I'm gonna stick. I've changed them out. I'm gonna stick with what I've got now.
Okay, so assuming he's taking the wagon, you're just meditating on the way there.
Yeah. At some
Does
point,
anyone of
at some point, you know, say when we get maybe an hour or 2 from the destination, I would like to stop, and I've got a ritual spell that I'm going to cast at that location.
I was going to ask something. Does any one of you know how to drive carts, land vehicles?
Nope.
The
No,
Wolfridge. So we need to hire someone.
Be the horse.
Yeah. So Aracris will hire a driver to care for the guards, for the horses, and drive the cart. So he will go back to the stable. I'm assuming he knows about Lucy. If not, he will ask for someone else.
Well, I mean, you have guild members who can do it.
Like whom?
Well, Darkforge can drive him.
Is in there?
Yeah, he's not exactly doing anything else.
Aracris asks his help.
Do you wish me to stay with the wagon?
Yes, and take care of the horses.
Understood.
Okay. And while they are moving towards there, he's chatting with Darkforge. So, what was the thing the other night with that barbarian half elf lady?
Oh,
Where did you learn that?
I do not understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, they told me that you destroy a bed.
Oh, yes. I did do that.
What did you destroy?
A bed.
He destroyed a bed from the guild.
Well,
They
that's
had
just bragging.
He says, back about a week ago when I was a little more foolish, they had me convinced that's how I befriend all women. Silly me.
a week ago. I thought it was about a month ago that Adrian decided to convinced you to put that thing down there. He has a device inside his armor for to simulate the down parts of the normal demi-human body. I have been silent until now because I know that Belenor is quite more charming than I am, and he knows how to treat people. But I just want to warn you. There is some things that are needed to treat people as well, and one of them is respect, and the other is manners. Being polite is useful as well. So do not focus on only on that, okay?
He says, I'm well aware of that now. You're quite late in that matter.
Okay.
So did
I do not-
somebody basically play a
No.
trick on you?
He says, they told me I was going to get modified. I accepted. Of course, any modification for an upgrade is, especially for free, was beneficial. But when they put me under, I woke up with, well, it says different hands and something else. I understood how to use it, of course, as part of being programmed with such a modification.
Yeah.
But it was definitely unexpected.
Okay. Who made you originally?
He says, I worked up at a dwarf of mine. Now I gotta think of a name.
It's not that important. It's nobody local.
He just says, I was made by an artificer. I do not recall his name, probably from being slain nearly twice recently.
Okay. Well, look. Humans do stupid things, or I should say mortals do stupid things, but especially humans. And sometimes we like to have fun at other people's expense. And I admit I do that to myself from time to time, though I don't usually like rearrange people's anatomies. Just don't take it personally and try to laugh about it yourself, if that's even possible for you.
He says, I was very grateful for the new hands. And he shows you, and he's got nice gauntlet hands. He's got all four fingers and thumb.
Okay.
Yeah, that
He
was my
says-
idea.
The other modification, however, was, well, I haven't been able to use it practically, but it seems to serve its purpose.
Well, not to get too graphic, but let me put it this way. I'm sure there are certain wealthy women in the city who would pay well for those kinds of services.
And now I can remember that Fletcher is
Roll persuasion.
Who, Fletch?
Yep.
I'm not trying to persuade him or anything. I'm just telling him the truth.
No,
I got a 19.
Oh, Fletcher, no, you're going to start it over again.
no. He just says that would be very useful for me, as I seemingly need plenty of repairs. But Bellinor has been keeping me with his mistress.
Mistress? Does Bellinor have a mistress? Which one of the many women I have seen him with is his mistress?
Oh, good Lord. You give a man a harp and their panties drop.
Says, I've been keeping an eye over the place for quite some time, and I've not seen nor this legendary number of women. However, he does occasionally ask me to visit. She teaches me how to be pleasant.
Yeah.
She's not a captain of the city guard, is she?
He turns his head slowly towards you. No.
Oh, okay, good.
He turns back. Says it's been quite a positive experience.
Yeah, if you
Well.
want to know more about human stuff. Maybe I can help you with that. Just not being as charismatic as Berlinor can be.
He says, well, do you have sufficient resources to aid your horses?
Well, some sort I have been having help from the government, but I don't mean an extra hand.
He says, very well. Should we be off then?
We can be off.
Right.
I mean, I think that we were chatting in the way to that point.
Oh. Okay. I guess that conversation was being held while Caradoc was performing his ritual, which I don't know what the ritual is.
So, I mean, okay, so we've been traveling, we're an hour or two at most from the final destination. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say you're about halfway there.
All right, so I am performing locate animal or plant, specifically to see if there's a dire wolf within a 5-mile radius of where I perform the ritual.
I'm gonna say
if he needs
yes.
help describing the direwolf, Arrakis will do so if he does not know about direwolves.
I don't need help. It's not
Okay.
necessary.
There is, yes. Is it a pickup one, or does it tell you how many are in the area?
All it tells
The closest one.
It tells me the closest one within 5 miles. Tells me where it is.
All right. I'm gonna say up towards the town of Shannon. There is a small group of them. I know it only says the closest one, but they're kind of close proximity right now, so you can kind of get that feeling. So there seems to be a small group of them, not, you would say, close to the road. It looks like they're getting ready to ambush. Yeah, they're getting ready to ambush something, but that's about it. You know where they are now.
Okay, hold on. All right. So, how long would it take me to get there? Walking, let's say in stealth.
I would say they're about 3. Is it kilometers or miles?
Miles.
Okay, so yeah, I would definitely say it would take you about 40 minutes to get to stealth.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Yeah, I shouldn't say stealth. Until we get close, I don't need to stealth. So, I guess what I want to do is get to within 15 minutes of them, give or take.
Arrakis will try to move to get close to that point.
I haven't told Arrakis anything yet, so just hold on.
Okay, so are you going to go alone?
Well, just hold on.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
the road of Shannon kind of bends with the road that you're kind of going on, and then it kind of turns off to Shannon.
So what I'll do is I'll say to the group, here's what's going on. I'm going to go up there, and when we get a few minutes out, I'm going to, we can stop. I can go up alone, but maybe you can be trailing just a little bit behind, far enough away that you're not immediately up on me, though, because I need space and I need you guys to not be immediately visible when I go and try to speak to these creatures.
What I understood from what Alex said was that the road to Shenit is not the same road we need to travel to get to the fire lizard stuff.
All right, so here's the deal. That's your call. However, I can get us two, not one, two dire wolves that can assist us in taking down the lizards.
It's not that far off the path, and we're not like in a big hurry or anything. It's not like the world's got to be saved or something. So,
can I get a nature check now? Now I can say, can I get a nature check to approach the wolves in a way that the wind does not give back or smell to them?
I would call that a survival check.
Is anyone proficient in survival?
I mean, I am.
Ironically, so is the Warforged, but he's watching the horses.
let's just let him go do his thing, and we'll hang back.
Yeah, I mean, just like 100 feet, right? So you can get there in a round and a half of dashing. I can hold my own for a round, unless like yeah. So what I want to do is we'll approach. They stay back 100-ish feet. I'm going to cast Pass Without a Trace on myself. They're too far back to get advantage of it, so that I can go up and scout out and see how many are there, and are there any, especially maybe even two that are kind of stragglers that are a little bit further out. Just kind of give me the lay of the land, and I'll roll my stealth check if I assume you want.
So I'm assuming you're following the road then, or you walking through the woods.
Well, I mean, we take the road until we're. Yeah, I mean.
If you want, you can keep two of them, and we can hunt them down the rest and use them to gain profit.
Yeah, that's fine. So what you're suggesting is that they're waiting in ambush for somebody on the road. If I'm able to ascertain that, then I'm going to approach them from a direction that is not going to be immediately, I don't know. I don't get your question.
All right. No, it's fine. I get what you're doing. So you come in from the forest line, and from where you last felt their location, they kind of seem to be sitting still.
Okay.
You walk around the bush line, and with your Pass Without a Trace, they don't spot you. They don't hear you, and you can just see what looks like one dire wolf. It's like a small little slope, and they're looking over it. And if you were on the roads, the only thing you might see is their ears perking up over the grassy knoll. But from where you are, you can clearly see them just laying on the bigger dire wolf is leaning, like looking over, and there's two young adults, probably just maturing, just sitting beside the other one, and they're all just looking over the road.
So it's 3 dire wolves.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm going to cast Speak with Animals on myself, make my presence known, and say, "Hail, fair creatures. I have come to parley."
I've come to parlay.
And they say, "Look, dinner."
They might, and I have a backup plan.
Yeah, they of course they turn around. Their ears perk up when you start casting your spell, and then they turn to look at you. Of course, they look surprised, and then they jump to their feet, become aggressive. But when you start speaking to them, they're definitely the bigger one's confused, and when she starts standing up straight, the other two seem to get the cue and they're kind of prowling around you, but they don't seem hostile, more curious. So the bigger one sniffs the air and she says, "What are you? You're not one of us."
I am one of nature's caretakers. I need your help to remove an infestation of evil that has infested our land.
She says, "I don't remember you."
I come from a land further away, but all of this land is under my protection.
She says, "That makes sense. What do you need?"
If you would be willing to travel with me and my companions, I wish to remove an infestation of terrible lizards from this land. Anything you kill, you can eat. You'll be fed for weeks off of the remains.
Roll persuasion, and I'm going to do this for the very first time. Roll double advantage.
What? Double advantage?
Yeah, this is going to get... Oh, wow. 17. That's really not bad.
So as you're kind of holding this low whimper and growl conversation with her, you can hear the bellies of the other two dire wolves kind of growl around you. And she says, "We are hungry." And she says, with a promise of food, I don't see why we can't help you."
And I say, let us go. And I lead them back and do the introductions and calm everybody down. And there you go.
Okay. Yeah, so they kind of eye up the horses, but once you explain to them that you need them for pulling the wagon, they don't prowl on the road because they know it's dangerous, so they go into the bush line.
Cool. That worked out way better than I even dreamed of. So awesome.
Fletch is like patting the back of the wagon. It's like, nice puppy. Want to go for a ride?
Fletch is now missing a finger.
Do you want to roll an animal handling, or is that a joke?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Well, dear God,
I got a 17.
Yeah, let me roll for the other one. Oh God. So the one jumps into the wagon, kind of accepting your hand signals. The other one thinks you're inviting it on top of you, and it jumps on top of you.
Okay. I'm not immediately going to kill it if it's not clawing or biting at me.
No, it's kind of like they both jumped up at the same time, and you're just kind of in the way.
Okay. I will try to gently pull myself out of the way.
Yeah, so you're kind of just pull your feet out of its way, and they're kind of just digging their noses through everything in the wagon. Eventually, they get bored with the idea, and the one sniffs you carefully, and then jumps out.
Okay. Now, Fletch will... I don't know exactly how tall these things are. He may not have to bend that, bend down, but if he does, he'll take to a knee, and he holds his hand out, but he holds it open and low so that they can sniff him. He's definitely not going to like try to pat the top of their head or anything.
The smaller two, they are probably about as tall as a drafting horse.
Oh, okay.
So they're not small. They're still large. Just
yeah. Well, there's no real reason to bend over then. Fletch just stands there with his hand kind of out, lets him sniff him.
Arrakis will have his 3 healing elixir, right? From the spell.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys eventually come across the stream. Darkforge manages to find a small trail that he can use for the wagon, and crossing the stream doesn't pose too much difficulty for him. Eventually, you guys get to about 500 feet away from what the picture... who looked at the picture? Of the...
Arrakis. He's expert on maps.
Well, okay, so Fletch and Arrakis would spot the summoning pillars immediately. Everyone sees them, but you know what they are. And they're just big, glowing, hot red pillars. Just them being around kind of causes the air to go blurry, like if you were in the desert.
So do we need to destroy those?
What are you talking about? Just a fine piece of magic.
Yeah, but if they keep bringing fire lizards here, it's kind of a danger.
But if you think it like that. If you ever need more arrows, where are you going to find more lizards?
Well, while I like the idea of more arrows, I don't necessarily like the idea of like innocent people along the road being killed.
We can go out for Pincus to get advice, because it's true that this needs surveillance, but just destroy it seems an awful idea to me.
Okay, well, I don't have any magical abilities to like shut them off. So,
oh, actually, yes, I can try and check them out to see if I can turn them in and down. They have a switch of some sorts.
Yeah, roll Arcana. You leave the wagon behind. The direwolves follow behind Caradoc as you all kind of approach these 3 pillars that are just arcing over the river. You easily spot the lizards in there, and of course they are docile.
Okay, 19 plus 4 from guidance. So 23.
Yeah. So from your general knowledge alone, you know that they can be turned on and off easily. However, turning them off doesn't send them back home. It just removes whatever restrictions that were on them before. On top of that, destroying them doesn't send them home either, and as well as these things are pretty unstable, considering that they don't close unless they're turned off. So destroying them, whether they're turned on or off, because of their connection to the whatever plane they're drawn to, will generally cause an explosion related to whatever they're connected to. So destroying them would cause them to just explode.
Arrakis explained that to Fletcher.
With your guidance, though, Mistra tells you that there is a very vague ritual that can be performed to turn them off for good and remove their connection.
He does not tell about that. Arrakis does not tell about that because that will mean that he will lose connection to a frail elemental plane, and there could be strange and beautiful things to explore there when he gets enough level.
Caradoc, I want you to make a perception check, and I want to make you a nature check as well.
17 for my perception, and 10 for my nature.
All right. So you're kind of watching, and it's kind of out in the ordinary. You feel like all of you kind of feel this strong breeze kind of hit you, and as you're kind of staring in a certain direction, you kind of cover your face for a moment, and you swear to God the leaves made a druidic symbol that just simply says, "We're watching." As you're looking around and taking in the environment, you notice that the fire lizard's mere presence, like the pillars don't seem to be doing anything besides just heating up the general animal area. You even notice that like across the river there's some like foxes kind of curling up near them to keep warm. So they're not the real problem that you're kind of picking up on. It's that the fire lizards themselves, as they're kind of resting in the area, they're steaming the water. And you notice that probably about 15 feet away from them, where it's getting kind of close to the pond, anything that all the fish that are trying to swim up to the pond, they get cooked and die and float back into the pond.
So how many fire lizards do we see?
There's 3 of them. It seems that there's a pillar for each one.
And there's a pillar. How far away are they, and how far away are they from each other?
They're clustered. They're all 5 feet from each other.
Okay, so how far are they from us?
Well, if you're standing near the pillars, you're about 10, 15 feet away.
Oh, so we're 10 feet away from them, and they're completely docile.
Yep. They don't, like, you think with your perception, you can see that one of them is kind of looking up at you, but they're just chilling out, literally.
Okay.
So do you want to try to milk one of these things?
Well, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that this is going to fail, but it's worth doing. And that is, I'm going to, I'm sorry, hold on one second. Yeah.
If we are... Okay.
I'm going to cast Speak with Animals again, because it only lasts 10 minutes. And I am going to try to communicate with these Igni things and see if they're able to understand me and speak back.
And while he does that, Fletch is going to back up 40 feet and have his longbow ready.
Rakris is watching the pillars and trying to find the switch off.
Okay. Again, turning them off is just as easy as just channeling your energy into a spell. You just have to find out where, with the Arcana score, you know where to put your hands to turn them off.
So, it wastes a spell slot?
No, it doesn't use up your spell slot. It's just
okay.
It's just as simple as using a cantrip.
Okay, he's turning them off.
Quick question: What do we know? What turning them off does?
Ericus knows. He hasn't told anyone.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not gonna.
So
meta anymore.
You cast Speak with Animals, and one of the fire lizards, the one that's been eyeing you up, the other two seem to be sleeping, but this one kind of just swims over. He pokes his head out, but he doesn't bother moving, like even crawling out of the water, and he's just resting his head on the bank.
And so I speak to him and I say, Hail, noble lizard, and well met.
He's listening to you. He doesn't say anything. He chirps at you, but clearly it's not meant. He doesn't speak any animal language.
Are you able to understand me? I asked.
He nods.
May I ask what you're doing on our fair shore?
He just kind of buries his head into the bank.
Would you like to play charades? No. So I'll just come right out and say it. I'm a protector of the natural order. Your presence here is disrupting that. I must ask for you to return to your home plane.
Roll persuasion.
Okay. My charisma is so shitty too. Yes, a 5.
Yeah, you can see him like almost squinting at you, and he doesn't seem interested in what you're proposing, and he pushes himself back into the water.
Okay, so the lizards are all within how far of each other?
5 feet.
All right, just 1 second.
You can make a nature check if you want.
Oh, I can make a nature check. Okay. Yeah, I got an 11.
Nothing specific to fire lizards. You just know that creatures from the elemental plane of fire generally don't give a damn about what happens around them. Their primary instinct is to literally burn everything around them.
Okay. I'm going to back up, and I'm going to back up a bit. I'm going to walk a good 100 and some odd feet away.
Fletch will go with him.
I'm motioning, or I've got to speak with animals again, so I'm telling the dire wolves, come on, let's go up here for a minute. And
the bigger one asks if that's the lizard you were talking about.
And I say, yes, they must be cleansed from the area. But I say it softly so that only they can hear, not the lizards.
She says, why don't we just go eat them then?
I tell her, you know what? You wait right here, and we'll say within one. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. One thing.
Has Aracris finished closing the switching of the pillars?
Yep.
Okay,
you close. So as you guys are retreating from the situation to kind of make a plan, Aracris turns off one of the pillars.
Just one?
Yeah.
With all that time he has, okay, he's turning them all off.
Okay.
Unless he feels he's threatened by the lizards, he will continue.
Make an insight at disadvantage.
$13.
All right, you turn the one off, and you can tell that the other one, the one that is linked to it, perks up and he starts looking around, and then he starts looking at you.
Okay. So basically, if we turn them off, they will get really affected. So Arrakis will go back and say, "It's time to fight, guys. If you want, I can make the obviously a whispering. If you want, I can make the first move."
Wait, so
No.
you turned it off and then left to go talk to them?
Slowly, yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no. Wait for me. Wait for me. And
Yeah, I need to turn those things off, and it seems that they are aware and they want them to be on.
Who's watching the fire lizards at this very moment?
Fletch is.
Fletch, you see, as they're talking about what their plan is going to be, you see one pop out of the water.
Oh, let's talk a little bit more. I put 2 arrows in it.
Okay, roll for attack.
how far away are we at this point?
You guys are 150 feet away, as you said you were.
Oh no, not 150. 100.
100. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So as soon, like as soon as I see Fletch move in the corner of my eye, I turn around and boom, moonbeam on all 3 of them.
all right.
Okay.
I rolled a 19. I rolled a 19 and a 21.
Okay, those 2 are hits. What's Moonbeam do?
All right. So all 3 of them need to make a DC 12 con save.
All right. And what's it do if they fail?
If they fail, they take 19 radiant damage. If they succeed, they take 9 radiant damage.
So Arrakis is going, since they are casting spells, Arrakis will want to put to locate a fireball in, so it only hits the lizards, but not the other animals around or the pillars. Can he do that?
A fireball?
Yes, a fireball. Each creature in a 20 feet
A fireball is the fire elemental.
sphere.
Yeah.
I'm not finished. I need to first know if he can locate the spell properly.
Why would I need to locate the spell?
Each creature in 20-foot radius sphere, centered on the point he asked for. Since they are only 5 feet away from each other, he can even make the point to be a higher altitude.
Yeah, you could hit them all still. Yeah.
Without hitting anything else.
Well,
Like
if you're
not the
using-
pillars, not the animals.
Well, the pillars will be hit. Well, the 2 pillars will be hit, but not the furthest one away from you. And by the way, that fire lizard that came out of the water, he is absolutely destroyed by those arrows and that moonbeam.
So while Arrakis is figuring out what to do, I tell the dire wolves, go in there. As soon as one of those creatures walks out of the moonbeam, attack it. So I tell them, do not walk into the light.
Okay, then he will use the ice knife spell. Wait, no, it only has 60 feet of range. I want to try fireball.
Can't you just change the element with your lore master ability?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Turn it to ice or cold. But I need to place it so it does not damage the pillars, not the animals. But you're saying no. You cannot place it.
Well, you can't place it in a way where you can't hit the fire lizards or the pillars, because
Only the fire lizards.
The fire lizards are basically right underneath the things. They can't go anywhere else. Well, the two can't, and the one's dead. So
Meh. He will then. He will use his arrows to shoot at the other. His longbow.
roll an attack.
$22, 6 points of damage.
Okay, so yep, your arrow just plumps into the water, and it hits a fire lizard.
Okay.
All right, so the dire wolves, of course, as part of their surprise round, they start circling the moonbeam area. You say sail light, and they follow to the best of their abilities, and they're just watching the water, making sure they don't come out.
Okay.
And then let's roll initiative.
Yeah.
Meh.
You know what? Hey, Metalborn.
Yeah.
Get rid of the. You said they're all within 5 feet of each other, right?
So far.
Okay, because it is only a 5 foot radius on that. I thought it was further. So, all right, just wanted to straight up. All right, let me do my initiative. Sorry, guys. Who? 4. It's like 4.14.
Well, all right. So,
do you want me to do initiative for the wolves, or are they going to go on my turn?
they have their own separate initiatives.
Are you managing their initiatives?
Yep.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So, the 2 dire wolves go first. Fletch, what's your initiative?
8.
8.
Or sorry, dexterity.
18.
Okay.
What?
So the two dire wolves, the 2 fledglings, they're walking around. Again, you told them not to go into the moonbeam, so they're kind of walking around the lizards, dredging through the water. They snip at them a couple times to make sure they don't go anywhere, but other than that, they don't get close enough to attack. Then it's Fletch's turn.
I'll shoot 2 more arrows at one of the lizards.
Hit.
I got a 24 and a 12.
24 hits. The 12 kind of hits the bank.
For 9 points of damage.
Yeah, you can definitely hear the one fire lizard squirming in the water. The other dire wolf, the mother, she is, again, she's on the other side of where the 2 juveniles are, making sure the other one doesn't get on land. Just as instructed. One fire lizard tried to move onto land. Oh, dang. The 2 juveniles attack him. The DC is 13. So you see the fire lizard attempt to jump out of the water, and one of the smaller dire wolves grabs it with basically a full maw and pulls it back into the water. Almost out of Venstick, it kind of looks like it's attempting to drown it, but as you noticed, it's not possible. And they deal way more damage than I thought they did.
Yeah, dire wolves are brutal. I mean, we got 3 CR1 creatures here right now on top of us.
Yeah, this is the fire lizard that's just been pelted by arrows, and when he puts them in his maw, he slams them onto the ground, and the fire lizard just gets torn apart.
Is his mouth on fire?
No, the dire wolf put him back in the water, but when you see him let go, and he's kind of licking his lips, and since your speak with animals is still up, he says gross.
No, we have to hunt food from them.
Well, that's what I was about to say. If they're not happy with this arrangement, I am going to offer to take them honey.
Well, to be fair, they just received a mouthful of fire lizard oil, so it's not that great. With that, it is Ericus, your turn.
Is the second lizard dead?
The second one is dead. There's still one more.
Okay, so how far am from the last one?
Again, you're probably 100 feet away.
Yeah, I cannot reach him in this round. He will use his movement to get close 10 feet and launch another arrow with his longbow.
Okay, roll.
Oh no, wait. What I'm doing, I'm going to use a ray of frost.
Okay, roll.
Oh shit, now I failed the attack. 8.
Yeah, it just collides into the ground. And that leaves the other fire lizard who tries to climb up onto the water, out of the water. What's your bonus? Yeah, so the big mother sees this and chomps at him and hits him. The fire lizard, although manages to squirm out of her bite, he still ends up, her teeth scrape against its back though, and it gets injured in the process. It crawls up on land and it turns around to face all of them and uses its breath weapon on them.
How dare you!
The mother and all of them make their saves, so all of them kind of jump out of the way to avoid the majority of the blast, which only causes them 7 points of damage. So their furs are singed, but they are mostly intact.
But say, 'tis but a flesh wound.
And that leaves with Caradoc.
Is there a way I can move the moonbeam onto the lizard without hitting the wolves?
You can move it in a straight line. The fire lizard.
That's what I'll do. So he needs to do another DC 12 con save.
It doesn't work.
11 points of radiant damage.
Yep, the fire lizard, even despite its fiery form slowly blazoning around it, is starting to burn, and it winces at the radiance. Top of the round, the two dire wolves come around and attack them. Attack the fire lizard. These dire wolves are on a roll, man.
You have no idea how happy I am that you actually let me do this. Because
yeah, these two juveniles, they just pounce on the fire lizard. The fire lizard's looking around, trying to like scare them off. And it looks like if the Ericus and Caradoc, you can see it like flinging its body, trying to fling off oil at them, but there's just no oil to be had. And the two of them just reach down with their maws and rip it in half and start shaking it violently.
Okay. Chris, the combat is over, right?
What?
The combat is over, right?
Yep.
He says to Karadok, guard them. I am going to preserve the bodies that they must not eat them yet. And he will go to the bodies and cast a ray of frost to frozen those who are the one who is outside. Because if he gets heated enough, he begin to burn. So he will.
So two things real quick. One, I assume that we did fill the back of the carts with dirt as we had discussed, even though we didn't actually say we are doing this now, right? Or I guess we could. I guess we could do it now.
Yeah, you can do it now.
Two, yes, I will talk to the wolves while my speak with animals is still effective. And thank them, offer them praise and whatever, for helping cleanse the land of a great harm and evil. I'll tell them any of the fish that are dead nearby the shore, have at it. And I asked them, what else can I do for you, since it does not seem like you like the taste of the flesh of these lizards.
The two, obviously, as soon as you inform them that they can go eat the fish that they've probably been smelling for a while now, they just go over there and start going crazy. And the mother that that is observing you, she says, it's been difficult to find hunting grounds, and we are not sure where we can go without hunting humans. And it's only a matter of time before we get hunted. We want to know where we can go. Well, those two don't care yet, but we would like to know.
Can I do a nature check to be able to figure out if I know of hunting grounds?
I know.
Do you also have a survival check? Do you also have survival?
Teacher.
I also have survival check, yes.
So make whatever check you want, but at advantage.
Okay. So all right, I'll do that.
Roll. It would be nice to speak only to.
I know what you're going for, man. Give me a minute. We'll see where we go. So I rolled a 19 survival.
All right. After you've been through this land for about a week now, searching for druids, and there's definitely some heavily enforced areas that you believe would be very suitable for them, especially with two almost mature cubs.
Mm-hmm. So I'll tell them about that. And I'm going to personally note that because I may be coming back to find these direwolves later. Not necessarily to kill them, by the way, because they have done us a great deed today. So I'm in their debt.
Can I say he roll high? Can I say another option he will have?
You wouldn't understand what they're talking about.
Okay. I texted you through Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
No, not to Eric, but to Alex.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you all figure it out. But I do whatever based on my role I think is the best thing for these, because these wolves clearly held up their end of the bargain beyond any reasonable expectation.
Actually, I want you to, just to help add to this, can you make a investigation if you have it, or if you don't, raw intelligence?
Which is the same as investigation.
Okay, Rakis is asking the help of Fletcher to pour and pour the oil on the flasks as much as he can,
Okay.
and he is keeping the bodies cold so the oil does not explode.
Well, how are you keeping the bodies cold? Ray of Frost?
Ray of Frost. I have ice knife. Let me see what else I have. I have Scorching Ray, but with cold. And the oldie Fireball, but I think that's too much.
Fletch will suggest you use your magic on the water instead of directly on the snakes, because you're just going to do damage to the snakes. And we don't want that yet anyway, at least until we've got our oil.
Okay, he will do so. Wait, he will need time to close the pillars.
And what are these?
So he will.
What are these pillars made of?
For the most part, just stone. There's some of the incantations that are on them are made of jade, and some of the the proper runes that are used for the magical incantations are a mix of magma stone and obsidian.
Okay. Well, tell me when we have our oil.
Okay, so you guys are in the process of getting the oil. It's kind of difficult because you guys don't have any proper way to harvest the oil, but you guys are, especially since the direwolves have torn up the bodies, and when you try to pour the oil into the vials, you get a bit of mix of their blood in there too.
Arrakis has prestidigitation, if it helps.
So what was that investigation check, Caradoc?
11.
All right, so basically
12.
Okay, so basically what that was to see if you remembered the hunting routes that hunters have been using. So you got the gist of the general hunters. You're not sure where the experts might be going, but you tell them to just stay clear of some areas, and they don't remember their names, but they definitely get what landmarkers you give them.
Okay, and I tell them, I might come and visit them, and if they, at the outskirts of their range, were to detect other dire wolf packs or dire bear, I may ask them about that in the future.
All right. They all, as you're kind of telling all of them all this, they all approach you and get your scent. And once your spell wears off, you're kind of mid-conversation telling them about this stuff, and you're telling them how thankful you are, and then the spell wears off mid-conversation, and their ears perk up once your language changes back to normal.
Hold on 1 second. Just something that you need to be aware of. As a furbog, I can always speak with animals. What I cannot do is always understand them.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you're speaking to them, and eventually their ears perk up when the spell fades, and it's like they picked up on it, but they're not really sure what happened. And when she tries to talk to you, of course, that's when you understand your spell's failed and yours dismissed. Mm-hmm. And they try to communicate back to you, but it's just some whimpers and barks.
Got it.
Eventually, after that, she takes it as a sign to leave, and they start crossing they take a quick drink and then leave.
So,
How are you supposed to get that unique armor now? Damn it! I'm kidding.
You know what? I honestly don't care that much. I'll get it eventually, and I got to have 3 dire wolves help to cleanse an infestation of fire elementals. If that's not enough for me, then I'm kind of a jackass.
So you guys, man, it takes you. It's kind of a grueling 1 hour. It's probably testing some of your patience, as between the constant freezing of the water and the oil slowing and picking up as it's heating up and then slowing again as you cast the spell. It's definitely a little frustrating and a little taxing. But eventually you manage to have 9, or how many did you buy?
You say 9, Arrakis will have about 9.
Sure. I know you only got like 6, but I think I said only one would work for each of them. So 3 of the vials are filled. So they're pretty much topped off. Just by holding them, you can feel the heat.
Well, we can still cap them off and still put them in the dirt in the back of the wagon. It'll make them safer to transport. Separated from each other.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Take them out of the water, and if they begin to burn, it means that they still have oil. But I am going to close the pillars, to turn down the pillars, and Arrakis does.
Okay, they close without issue.
And then Fletch is going to open up his Dungeoneer's pack and take out his chisel and hammer, or his crowbar and hammer, and go over and start knocking some jade off one of these pillars.
Okay.
Shit. Why you have to be a little late? Arrakis will stop him. What are you doing? You're damaging them.
Yeah, and?
Yeah, if you damage them, they can explode.
Well, I don't want them here anymore, and this jade could maybe be worth some money. So,
or of all the places you can find gems and cash, you are going to attempt to hurt yourself, hurt us, hurt the environment by buying those I will say cheap gems that will not benefit you that much for that trouble.
No, I'm not going to hurt myself just to get some cheap gems. I figured that's just a bonus. I might hurt myself to shut this thing down permanently so that nobody can come along and open up another plane to wherever, the fire world or whatever it is.
I've already told you, it's better to go and ask Pincus. We don't know more about this stuff.
I'm gonna walk up to the things and do an Arcana check to see if I can determine anything about their nature.
Sure.
Ooh, 17.
You know a lot of information, kind of like what Ericus does. They can be turned on and off. When they're on, they can draw new fire lizards to the area. They are also used as a form of containment and keeps them docile even when they're out of the water. But usually they'll just keep in the water because it feels nice. On top of that, if they get destroyed improperly, then they will blow up.
Do I know how to destroy them properly?
No.
Okay. And so I look at Arrakis and say, I noticed before we engaged with the fire lizards, while I was trying to negotiate a peaceful solution, you turned one of these off. And turning them off makes the normally docile lizards aggressive. Are you trying to kill us?
You think that you don't know that? I was turning them off because Fletcher was going crazy about destroying them.
I wasn't going crazy.
Oh, come on, you're going to pray those gems off right now.
At the time that this was happening, Fletcher was standing 50 feet that way, readying an arrow. I don't remember him doing anything to even make passing notice at these things. I say again, you tried to kill us.
Yep, and I just keep chiseling.
So Aracris moves away and let them hurt themselves. He's not going to stop them.
Well,
He's not going to help them.
I will stop Fletcher. And make sure that the columns are deactivated. But I'm sorry, I'm a little angry. You took the only thing pacifying these lizards and started turning them off.
Well, in all fairness, he probably didn't know that. He probably didn't know that would happen to the lizards.
Okay.
Okay.
Persuasion check. Convince me.
Since there's a problem with destroying these things, we've got to ask Pincus first. I tell you what, it's only a 5-hour walk from town. I will sit here. I will not damage these pillars. I will just make sure that no other wandering wizards come along.
I have an option. I have an option for this. Okay. So if he's going to do that, I will say, wait right here, and I will turn into a horse that travels 120 feet per round, and I will book my ass back to town.
Okay. Just go ask Pincus if that's what it takes, and I will stand here and stay guard, make sure nobody else comes along to turn these things on or nothing else comes out of them.
So what took you about 5 hours of travel with hauling a wagon and getting the dire wolves takes you maybe about an hour rushing yourself to town. Do you want to shapeshift out of it when you get to town, or do you want to just run through the streets?
I mean, yeah. When I get to town, I'll shape change out of it. I'll even go so far as to say, I'm going to talk to Pincus, find out what I need to find out. I'm also going to do a short rest because I will want to regain that charge of wild shape.
Okay, so you're coming to town as your horse form, and the guards are like, "Oh my god, a wild horse!" and they pull out their spears, and then you turn into your full bog form. They're like, okay, it's now a wild.
Oh my god, a monster giant!
It's a wild giant, and then they see a symbol on you, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a member of the Unnamed Adventurers Guild," and they go back to their posts.
And I disguise self to a nondescript human at that point and walk through town.
And then they're just looking behind you as you shapeshift, and he's a person. Who? What the heck? We don't get paid enough for this. So you arrive at the guild, and of course, there's the typical faces you'd see standing around, talking to each other. You head up to Pincus's office. It's getting kind of late, but he's still there. He seems to be going over some manuscripts.
I explain the situation to them and to him and ask, is there any way to safely disable these things permanently?
I would imagine Pincus has come across something like this before. Just
I would imagine that he was the one who created them, but whatever.
no. That's- he says, "What?
I'm really not trying to gang up on you, Lanil, but a druid is not going to react well to elemental riffs on the prime material. He's just not. There's no way I can roleplay around that.
you just come forth, and he's like, summoning pillars." He's thinking about it, and he says, "No, I don't. What's with summoning pillars?" And of course, you explain the situation to him, and he says, "Not at the top of my head, no. You should maybe ask the professor downstairs or look in the library. I'll definitely take a look around if it's that important to you."
While he's doing that, Arrakis is mapping out the runes and the stuff from the pillars for future use and his investigation.
So I definitely tell him again. I do the whole druid spiel, and to try and impress how important this is, and then I go try and find the professor.
All right, so yeah, you eventually go and find the professor, and it's not hard. He's just studying in the library, and you encounter him, and you tell him what's going on and what you need him to know. And he says, "Summoning pillars? No, I don't really know anything about that." Says, "Maybe there's a book on it here."
Can you help me look? I'm not that good at libraries and.
He says, he says, "It's okay. I believe I recall reading something about it earlier. A dragon knocks on his head, and you hear his hollow bones." He says, "Not very sturdy mind here." And he leads you around the place, and he pulls it out. Pulls out a tome, probably about, and it's pretty thick. And he opens it up, and he starts flipping through the pages. And he says, "There you go." It says, "It's quite a complicated ritual, but all you should need is the pillars that are there to use them."
Okay, I grab the book, I put it in my backpack, and I say, "I will return this shortly." I do my short rest thing, warhorse, go back. So roughly 3 hours has passed.
Do you want me to explain to you how to do it?
Yeah.
All right. So basically, the ritual is for every pillar that is active in the area, the ritual costs one more spell slot, starting from 1 going up for every pillar that exists. So you need to have someone who can expend a spell slot of 3 to turn them off all at the same time. And if you can do that, they will basically crumble.
Well, we're just fucked then, aren't we? So yeah, I go up to Pincus and I explain to him I need a magic or divine or arcane magic user that has blah 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 yada 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 etc. And they can ride me back, so I'll get them there quickly.
He says He says, "Is Fletch there?"
Yes.
"Oh, look, we've got a young healer down there. Why don't you just send her with you and get him to explode them and have her heal his wounds?"
Okay. And I'll again, short rest, blah, blah, blah. She can ride me. We'll head back. Let's call it 4 hours.
With those 4 hours, could Arrakis get something useful from the pillars? I mean, write them down with the runes and stuff.
I mean, you've already rolled like a max Arcana, so you already know everything there is to know about them.
For how to create them and stuff?
Yeah, you would. Well, with the symbols you have now that you've been scripting from them, you definitely know how to make them. Will replicate this experiment again.
Well, and not to overly meta, but if you make friends with your local neighborhood druid, I can plane shift your ass anytime I want to once I get up to a sufficient level.
Yeah, well, it's out of character, Arrakis can't dispel that thing that make that ritual to crumble them down. But Arrakis is so fond of magic stuff that he is reluctant to do so.
Understood. What I'm saying is Arrakis maybe needs to do a religion check or Arcana check to remember that druids know how to move amongst the planes, and then maybe he can make friends with one.
You know that the issue is that
Fletch doesn't give a shit, and you guys can have your philosophical discussion about magic another time. Let's shut the damn thing down.
All right, so Caradoc arrives with Estra on his back, and when he stops, you politely make a full stop, so when you shapeshift to your normal form, she doesn't just fall off and land on the ground.
Okay. Arrakis, when Arrakis ends, if Arrakis hears what you explain, Caradoc, that when Pinkos explained Caradoc, he will just use the ritual you said he knew about.
Okay.
And will pick, and he will say, I disable them. I require part of the bounty.
Okay. So you expended a 3rd level spell slot into the ritual.
Yes.
Okay. And there we go.
So I didn't blow anything up. Oh well.
So yeah, the stone pillars crumble harmlessly as he completes the ritual.
All right, now we've got a dwarf to go see.
Wait. Arrakis will pick the gemstones or anything value he can recover.
No. Once they crumbled to the ground, it all hardens to stone.
Simple stone or special stone?
Simple stone.
Shit. Okay, whatever. You have to push Arrakis to that point, right? You just had to. Arrakis wears a pain in his heart because he had to take down those magnificent pillars, and he keeps quiet the rest of the trip back to Illumina.
Estra just looks at Fletch and she's like, "What happened out here? Why is everyone so quiet?"
Because spellcasters are assholes. That's why.
She frowns. She's a little insulted.
At this point, as the horse, because we're walking back, I just let out the biggest horse fart in the world. Right as close to Fletch as I can get without making it.
I'm picking up scents of hay. I wonder if I could bottle that and put it in a beer.
All right.
Arrakis will keep tab of the book he Caradoc got.
Unless he gave it to you, he would have it still.
Well, okay. Keep tab, no, keep it from himself. Keep a tab. I mean, know which one is.
I thought Ericus was being quiet all the way back.
Yeah.
I mean, did Arrakis ask to see the book?
Well, did you tell them about the? Did you tell the party about the book?
No,
When you arrived?
I told them about the ritual, but I had the book only as backup, not as primary source.
Okay.
If something went wrong, or somebody said, "I don't understand," which one? I said, "Well, here's the book."
All right,
Just-
so yeah,
And you know, and out of character, as somebody who studied improv, this last like 40 minutes is killing me because you're never supposed to say no to your improv partner. You're always supposed to say yes and the fact that I'm not able to say yes and to Lanil is killing me right now.
all right, so you guys drop Estra off, and Dark Forge takes your horses to the stable as you collect all the materials and take it to his Bulgar's shop. Bulgar definitely has spruced the place up in the last 10 hours, and it's pretty much clocking in at midnight. The bodies were leaking for quite some time, and you managed to harvest some extra oil from them, but they are dried husks now.
Okay. Well, if they're dried husks, then he can have them.
They'll be easy to tan to make that fancy hide armor we talked about, huh?
That could be.
He says, unfortunately, elemental hide ain't that great if you haven't looked. And he kind of just pinches like it's kind of like a weird cross between bone and stone. And as soon as he pinches it, it's like brittle. And as soon as he pinches it, it just crumbles in between his fingers.
Does Haraki know if it does help as material for any kind of potion or something like that?
It can be used in some rare instances if you get hit by some it's a very specific scenario. If you get hit by a cold attack that chills your heart, then it can be used in like kind of like a combination between a healing potion and an alchemist fire, except instead of using regular oil or the oil from the lizard, you could mix the bone in with the potion.
Okay, so Arrakis will want to keep them and bring them to his mentor to see if they can harvest resist from cold potions or something like that.
It's not meant to resist the cold, it's helped to remove it. So you would have to take the cold damage. It would have to, it's specifically for if you had some sort of serious condition around the cold, like for instance in Frozen when her heart was freezing and she was gonna die, that would help you in that situation because it would get rid of it.
Okay, he will keep that for that. Deem that for that.
It also helps with frostbite technically. So he lets you take back the bodies since nothing can be really garnered from them.
So, how many flame arrows can you make from this?
He looks at the big vials and he says, well, it depends how much you want them to explode. He says they can have a pretty wide range if you just leave them in these bottles. And of course, they'll make for a good light show. But if you want to be a little efficient, I can make about 12 arrows with this.
How much is it going to cost me?
He says, oh, I forgot to tell you about the other half of the challenge. He gives you a slip, and basically the challenge says, you do the hunting, I do the crafting. He says, free of charge.
Damn. Now I'm really wishing I'd murdered some dire wolves. At least I know where to find them.
Okay. So, in a few days, I take it, then I'll have 12 flame arrows.
Aye, that'd be the sum of it.
Okay. Any idea what kind of damage they do?
He says, well, it'll make something go light up real fast.
If we were on, he says, if we were on a game made of dice on a table, rolling dice on a table, they will do something like.
He says, "Oh, you're talking about that Dungeons and Dragons crap that all the guards play when they're bored. That's
Yeah,
how thieves get in."
Just fairies play that game.
He says, "But if I were to put it in something like that, what do they even use?" He says, "I'd probably do something like 3d6 in a 10-foot area."
Oh, geez.
Damn. Once they finish speaking, I hand back his heavy crossbow and the bolts he loaned me.
He says, "Did you get to use it?"
Unfortunately, no. No need.
Damn. Well, hopefully these arrows will prove my point.
Oh, what arrows?
Well,
Well, I want to know what it does now.
Oh, those arrows. Got it.
All right. Well, he says, "I'll make a sample one now, and we'll take it out back."
Can I just borrow the crossbow for a minute and one of the bolts?
Oh. Yeah, he lends it to you.
Okay.
And I look at. Well, hold on. I look at him and go, "Try this," and I turn into a bear while raging. Please hit me quickly.
All right. He takes his hammer and he's gonna try to hit you in the head.
I'm going to hand the crossbow back to the dwarf. Yeah, you do it.
No, he thought you meant with his hammer.
Oh, no. I don't think.
All right. No, you hand it back. Are you going to shoot him, or are you going to let the dwarf shoot him?
I'll let the dwarf shoot him.
All right.
If there's a rampaging giant bear in a closed space, I don't want to be the one that shoots him.
Arrakis is preparing his healing spell because. Just think.
Oh, yeah. My hand's totally on my weapons.
So
No
basically,
healing spell.
what happens is he lifts his hammer up to hit him in the head with it, and you're like, no, with the crossbow. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess it makes sense. And he takes a bolt, pulls it back. The tension on it looks pretty strong, but kind of looks typical. And he shoots it at the raging bear. That would be...
That's probably better than my idea. I was just going to go out in the street and shoot somebody.
20 hit?
Yeah.
All right. That's this, and that's that.
Hit the murder hobo who was moving in the corner.
So from physical damage, you only take 5, and from the frost from the bolt, you take 2.
So 5 half or 5 total?
5 halved
Okay.
of physical damage.
So
And-
two and 2, in other words.
No, it's 5 already halved.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the
Already
other ones.
halved. Got it. So 7.
Yeah, so 7. So you feel this arrow thunk into you, and it's, considering how much he rolled, it's basically almost all the way in. And then you just feel this cold sting kind of hit your shoulder.
Oh.
Good bear.
He
And
says,
wait. As you're watching, hold on. I got to do my roll here. As you're watching, the arrow basically falls out, and the wound almost completely closes.
he says, bloody hell. That's amazing. He says, well, I mean, I'd like to consider you a friend, but, you know, I don't get to shoot too many of those. And he picks up the bolt and kind of stuffs it away.
I drop form and say, well, that kind of almost hurt. It is a little cold.
He says, aye, that'd be part of the elemental core that just hit you. And he puts away the bolts, cleans up the one that he shot you with. And he says, but I'll deliver the arrows to you shortly. Won't take me long. Are you going to be staying in Illumina, or are you going to head back to the Rose and Dragon?
It depends on how long you're going to be.
He says, should only take me a night.
Oh, yeah, I'll just hang out in Illumina then.
He says, very well. The Unnamed Adventurers Guild, then?
I will be there. Off and on.
He's now just kind of looking at all of you.
Yeah.
And we will leave because it's late. It's
Yeah.
late and you've got work to do.
Okay.
All right, so you all leave.
Okay. Well, since I'm the one who mainly benefited from this, drinks are on me for the night.
Ooh.
I politely decline and head out to some nearby natural area and meditate until it's time to go to bed.
All right. All right, I'll have. Actually, we'll do that first. So as you're heading out, you meet Estra on the way out of the city, and she seems to be carrying some sort of bundle of plants.
I offered to help.
You've seen her around the guild from time to time, and she does this kind of on her own. When you ask her to take them from her, she says, I don't think I should. She's usually pretty generous, but she seems a little defensive about you taking them.
Can I make a nature check on what she's carrying?
Do you also have religion?
No.
Then make a nature check.
Nah, 12.
Okay. They're pretty typical plants. Just the way that they're bundled seems pretty exotic. You wouldn't know why someone would bundle them up. There doesn't seem to be any natural purpose for it. You can roll a religion if you want now.
No, I'll bid her a good night and head on.
Well, you're both heading the same direction.
Oh, she's heading out of town?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She asks you what brings you outside.
Anger management issues.
She thinks on it and nods, and she says, do you want to come with me then?
I say I'm certainly willing to keep anyone company for good conversation and a warm fire.
All right. Yeah, so she accepts that, and she leads you to some sort of it's not quite all the way out of town. It's kind of, there was actually a large battle out here recently, and she leads you out past a shack and near a lake, and by some rocks you see that these, unlike the other rocks around nearby, these rocks seem to be kind of, it's a natural process, but at the same time it's a little ahead of everything else around. And she eventually leads you to this altar that is just, it's kind of got vines coming out of it, and it has a couple of figurines of a woman who seems to be holding a plant in the air, and she places the bundle of plants, neatly wrapped plants on top of it.
So I'll just come right out and say it. I'm not that familiar with human religious practices. What is this? Who is this goddess? What is this?
She says it is my altar to the goddess Alona, the preserver of nature and life.
Preserver of nature. In my society, we have no such gods. But this sounds like one that I'd like to learn more about.
She says it was kind of weird how it even happened. I never heard of her until she spoke to me in a vision.
What was the vision of?
Honestly, I don't really remember. The vision is kind of what I've experienced day to day now. And I just feel like I belong here.
What does she ask of you?
She asks me to preserve all forms of life, natural and sometimes, unfortunately, the lives of human beings.
I take a nearby rock, something with enough of a sharp edge, and I not discreetly, in fact, I want her to look. I very gently scratch in the ground nearby a druidic symbol and ask her, does she know what that means?
She says, well, what's it say?
I say it means nature's guardian.
No, I mean, like, what does it say without you having to tell her? Because she does know.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, it means nature's guardian.
Okay, so she says that to you. She says, nature's guardian.
My eyes just, like, you could have punched me in the stomach. My eyes light up. And I speak to her directly in Druidic. Are you a member of the Grove?
No. I tried. She replies, obviously, in Druidic. She says, no. I tried joining them, and they refused me for my beliefs.
Is the Grove here evil?
I don't think so, but I don't think they want their order tainted with an outside deity.
It's very curious. Druids very rarely care which deity you pray to, as long as it's a protector of nature.
Well, she's not all for natural things. She just desires to preserve life. And perhaps that makes me a victim of some things that nature might not abide by normally. I understand their reasoning, and I won't hold them to my standards if they do not want me to.
Do you know where to find them?
Well, I more like stumbled across them, but I know they live somewhere in the northern regions. I think they live amongst those orcs, but I'm not sure if they hide themselves in the caves or not.
Gray orcs?
They didn't appear to me as such.
I mean, honest, at this point, I just spend the night, or however long she wants, talking about nature and life and reverence and whatever comes up. It's a druid philosophy discussion, whatever.
All right. Of course, you see her. As she's doing her prayer, you can see that. Let's make this interesting. You see that she herself is not using Druidcraft, this cantrip, but an outside force that is being channeled through her is, and it's opening up the bundled plants and causing them to kind of slip off the altar and move to somewhere around the rocks and find a place. She is not performing an incantation, but some sort of chant that doesn't seem to have any magical power on its own, but it is drawing magical power to her.
You know what? I feel like I got a lot out of tonight's session, so I sort of want to fade into the background so the other our other players can get a little bit of time.
Yep. So Ericus and Fletch, you both arrive at the tavern. Silver Chalice, I'm assuming, just across the street.
No, Fletch was going to go down to Mother's, which is semi-secretly controlled by the local Thieves Guild.
Ericus will not.
I don't tell Ericus this, but he might know it, and he might not.
Yeah. So let me check if he falls for the quotes rules. No, he thinks that it was a good time with you, fighting and all, but he's busy doing stuff. He will, if he thinks that if Fletcher owes him a debt, he says, if you think you owe me something, maybe I would be interested in rumors about the magical stuff. Anything you can gather. I don't know your contacts, but if something comes up, please send that information to me, and I will feel that the debt is paid.
If I'm sober enough to remember, I'll make sure you get the information.
Sure.
And
he goes back to the...
Basically, Fletch is just going to go spend an hour. He's not going to get drunk. He's basically just going to spend an hour sort of catching up with some old contacts and friends, and then he'll retire for the night back at the guild hall.
All right, so of course you get in there, and the barkeep recognizes you, and he says something like, "You here for the really hard stuff, sir?" And you say, "No, just water." And he nods his head, and he lets you into the back room where everyone else kind of hangs out.
Okay.
And you start talking to some old contacts, and they start telling you things.
Yeah, I'm not looking... Technically, I'm not even really here like working. I'm not specifically trying to find out anything. He's just sort of saying hi, let folks know he's in town, and...
Oh yeah, no, they just nod off some...
I mean, he'll definitely listen.
Stuff.
He'll definitely listen to rumors and things like that, and find out who's been arrested recently and those kind of things.
I guess the only thing that kind of perks your interest is you're talking about how you're just listening to some interesting things, and then one of your older contacts kind of just it tells you, did you know that Belnor was caught spreading nearly thousands of gold around town the other day?
For what?
Well, he wasn't caught by, the watch, but we spotted him.
Yeah, but why was he spreading gold around town?
I don't know. We didn't see how he got it. We just saw that he was walking around town. He did a pretty good job trying to hide it, but we caught him in his rather dumb disguise. And he's just dropping these huge coin purses at random locations.
You picked them up, right?
We didn't really have to go far. For some reason, he dropped them in front of our door. He says, I'm starting to think you don't know if he works. I'm starting to think you don't know he's been working with us for a while now.
Oh, Bellinor's been working with you for a while now?
Yeah, ever since the lifted purses have been showing up, he's been helping us get a lead on them. We know where they are now. We're just trying to... We're coordinating with the watch, unfortunately. We would have taken them down otherwise.
Well, if you need... Well, I'm not going to say you need help, but let me put it this way. If you don't want to appear directly involved, you know, you can always hire the guild.
He says, I think it's a little past that. But I think a little good recognition for our name would be a little helpful from time to time.
Yeah, in some cases it would. Other cases it's better to keep quiet. But... Oh, well, that's... Okay, so Bellinor left some money in front of your store. What were some of the other places he was leaving money?
Oh, God, I gotta get the map out.
Oh, you don't have to go through all that.
He says there was some, mostly just small places like taverns and inns. He even went to our... I don't know if he knows this or not, but he went to the... what was that? What was that house that you sent us to? A long time ago? I can't remember the road's name. The Road of Shadows or something like that. Or Road of Daggers or something. Anyways.
Me?
Yeah. You DM'd it for us, I think? Or was that apartment building?
Oh, yeah, I know where you're talking about. Down where the kids were?
Yeah. He said he dropped...
Yeah, I forget the road's name, but I know where you're talking about.
Yeah, he says he dropped 3 coin purses down there. As far as we can tell, each coin purse had about 250 gold in it.
Oh, good lord. How do I get on his list?
He says, I think we have a good idea on how he got the gold. It's just we don't know who got it for him or if it was intentional.
So how did he get the gold? Or from where did he get the gold?
Our suspicion is that there was a rumor from the Silver Chalice that Warforged pulled in 2 large, old and dirty chests. They didn't look too heavy, but it was carried by that Warforged. They don't tire very easily, from what I hear. So
yeah.
Who knows how much was actually in the chests. But they donated the chests to some sort of soup kitchen, and they were empty when they got there. So I'm assuming that all the gold came from there. But without any direct links or sources, it's kind of loose information.
I'm not sure I understand. So Bellinor robbed or possibly robbed the Warforge?
If that could be a possibility. But from what we know, the Warforged doesn't own a room there.
Okay.
Also, the other information we got he kind of has an alibi, and he doesn't even have to say anything, stupid bastard. He came in on his ship a day before all that treasure even arrived in his room. So there's no way he could have stolen those chests.
Yeah, but there's ways around that.
He says, well, unless he has some sort of accomplice, or the Warforged took it to his room.
Or he's a spellcaster.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think he's in that league yet, but you know, he's been away for nearly 3 weeks. Who knows what he picked up on Demon Sea?
Probably the clap. I didn't say that.
He says either way, we're still kind of looking into it.
I've just heard he gets around a little bit. Ow.
Yeah, we've been hearing that. Talking about getting around a bit, how's your shots at Captain Laria?
I've not seen her recently.
She's been pretty busy.
What's she been busy with?
You didn't hear about the attack on the city?
I must have been drunk that night. Yeah, but this isn't Lumina. There's like an attack on the city like once a month.
Well, it was a pretty big deal. I know how much you dislike spellcasters, but they were heavily involved.
I don't really hate spellcasters. They're just kind of annoying.
Well, it is quite fortunate that we had Aelwyn there. He seemed to be able... He took a group of... What was it? 7 members out to deal with them. They came back victorious with none slain.
Oh, well, that's always good. Especially considering we lost a whole bunch of people not too long ago.
He says, one of your other members, young girl, blue hair.
Yeah, druid type.
I didn't get that from the spells that she was casting, but okay. She managed to save most of them. Only a few of them died, but I think it was from serious head injuries.
Well, who attacked the city this time?
From what we can gather from Aelwyn's reports, it was Grey Orc shamans. Guess they had a bone to pick with us, as does everything else in the region.
Long as it's not the Dark Queen's forces.
She's been awfully quiet. The Frost Giants are still moving around, but we haven't been able to get a real close look at them.
Well, good. As long as they remain quiet. Or she remains quiet. That's fine with me. Okay, I've learned more than enough tonight. I'll pass what little information I know about Red Gill, but I don't think anything too bad has happened down there lately.
No, the only thing you heard was that some sort of... I guess you would have heard that 3 people came across a sea hag, and she ran away from them.
Okay. Well, and I'll also pass on any information I've heard about maybe, any ships I know of that are supposed to be bringing in big, rich, expensive shipments of one thing or another, whatever it might be, that they might be interested in.
I don't know. Should we be interested in them?
Maybe.
Well, it appears they'll get lost on the way then. Thanks for the information.
You're welcome. And, you're professionals, so don't be greedy.
What kind of thieves guild would we be if we weren't greedy? Come on.
Exactly. That's why one of your members is my accountant.
It's just a different kind of robbery.
Well, yeah. I know. I don't mind if he skims a little off the top here and there. That's what a professional would do. That's why I don't hire a regular accountant. Those bastards get greedy. Think they're going to run off with their mistress and get rich or something like that.
You know us too well. You want to stay for a game of Three Dragons Ante?
No, I think I'll head to the guild hall and call it a night. I'll be in town another day or two.
He says, very well. You have a good day, Fletch.
I will.
He
And
says,
he'll head back to the
and
guild
you
hall
can't
and go to
leave.
sleep.
You can't leave just yet. He gives you a glass of water.
Okay. Why can't I leave just yet?
He says, you gotta hold the image to all the guests.
I'll take a sip of my water.
All right, it's just water.
Okay.
Basically, they just wanted you to go out with a drink of water, so it didn't look too incredibly suspicious.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'll walk out with my glass of water.
All right, you just drink it and pass it off to the attendant.
Yeah, as I'm walking out the door, I'll slam the mug down on the bar top and say, "Gosh, you guys serve weak stuff," and then I'll walk out the door.
He just stares you down. He gives you an angry look. All right. So
And on my way out the door, I'm going to use Thieves' Cant to let any working professionals around me know, oh, by the way, at the guild, there's this wizard named Ericus. Yeah, you can rob him.
all right. Let's see how many people are paying attention while you're there.
Then I walk out the door.
Oh no. So as you're speaking in Thieves' Cant, about 3 of them look up to look at you and watch you perform your subtle hand signals and gestures with your feet. As the Thieves' Cant practice in Luma is performed generally with the whole body.
Yeah.
And they observe you, and the 3 of them kind of nod their heads as the other 4 are just continuing their business.
Okay.
All right, so you head to the guild hall. Does
Yes.
anyone else have anything they want to do? Ericus, do you want to do anything? That's another name on the hit list. Ericus? Is he muted? No, he's not muted.
No, he must have gone or something.
Yeah. All right.
All the better.
Caradoc, anything?
No, man, I gotta get to bed soon. It's
Yeah, it is
12 and a
pretty
half.
late.
Yeah. All right, so that's the end of the session. So to summarize everything that happens for anyone who didn't bother watching the rest of this video, we slayed a bunch of fire lizards. We managed to turn them into fiery explosive arrows, and we will be seeing the results of them in a couple days. So they will be delivered to him personally. So when 2 days goes by, you can just add them to your inventory.
Okay.
And with that, we'll call it a night. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and thanks for all my players.
Thank you. Good game.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it. And I've got some new wolf friends that I am going to take advantage of.
Yes.
Right before I